It's the year 2029, and Logan is sound asleep at the back of his car when he's woken up by a group of thieves who were trying to steal his car tire. He tries to talk to them but gets shot in the chest. After groaning and managing to recover, he picks himself back up, but instead of the men taking to their heels after witnessing that, they decide to fight back, which turns out to be a pretty dumb idea. Logan gets annoyed at them and deals with them the way a former X-Men should. That's right, this is the all-great Wolverine. Afterward, Logan drives himself to a nearby restroom to attend to his wounds. Age is telling on Logan, who is currently the last member of the X-Men. His healing ability is also starting to fail him. Later that night, we can see that he now works as a limousine driver in El Paso, Texas, during which it is revealed that no other mutants have been born in 25 years. One day, he's at a burial to pick someone up as usual, when a woman named Gabriela Lopez approaches him. She's asking for his help, saying she knows he's the one.
¿Qué demonio te pasó?
But she strikes Logan as more of a creep, so he completely avoids her until she leaves. Later that day, he drops by the hospital to get something from a doctor. On returning to his vehicle, he's confronted by Donald Pierce, the cyborg chief of security of a company named Transigen. Donald wants to know if Logan has met Gabriela, but Logan tells him off, saying he doesn't know anyone. After his long days of work, he returns home to a stinky, abandoned plant in northern Mexico, where he and mutant tracker Caliban take care of 97-year-old Charles Xavier, the founder of the X-Men.
You're the man who puts me to sleep.
As the news keeps getting worse, Charles suffers from dementia that causes him to have destructive telepathic seizures. After being administered his meds, Charles tries to convince Logan that there's a new mutant coming, but Logan thinks it's an effect of his dementia and ignores him. Meanwhile, Caliban has noticed the troubles that Logan is facing with his health, so he tries to talk to him about it, but Logan wants Caliban to stay out of his business.
Well, poor you.
He leaves for work again. That night, after dropping off some ladies, he gets a cab call with an address stated, so he immediately heads there. On arriving, he sees a little girl, Laura, playing with a ball outside a motel. He parks, then comes out to meet Gabriela again. She wants him to take her and Laura to the American-Canadian borders, but Logan doesn't wish to get involved with them. She then offers to pay him $50,000, $20 now, and the rest when they arrive at their destination. However, Logan can't leave immediately as he needs to inform Charles and Caliban before he leaves. He returns to the plant to inform them, but keeps getting texts from Gabriela that they need to leave.
Yeah, we'll be safe.
After assuring Charles that he'll be safe, he leaves to go get Gabriela and Laura. But on reaching the motel, he finds Gabriela dead. He then returns to the plant in a hurry, where Caliban asks him what's going on. He tells Caliban that the job was all wrong and heads back inside, but is forced to return when Caliban finds a bag and ball in Logan's trunk. Just then, they're visited by Donald, who has come to ask for the girl.
I need the girl.
Knowing that Logan is fully involved. But before they can get into a fight, Laura throws an iron bar at Donald, knocking him out. Charles then shows up, telling Logan that Laura is the mutant he's been talking about. He takes Laura inside, while Logan and Caliban now have to deal with the unconscious Donald. Logan instructs him to drive Donald's body to a ditch up the road and leave him there. However, while doing that, Caliban gets attacked. Meanwhile, Logan sees Donald's men trooping towards their location and quickly takes Charles, while ordering Laura not to move an inch. He fails to escape with Charles and tries to abandon Laura, but when the men go after Laura, she seems more than capable of handling herself. It's during the fight between her and the officers that Logan realizes that Laura is just like him. They barely manage to escape from the plant, but are lucky to drive across a train track before an oncoming train, which saves them from further attack from the officers. Back in the plant, Donald is yet to kill Caliban.
I believe you're thinking of someone else.
Knowing he can track mutants. Instead, he tortures Caliban into agreeing to work with him in order to find Logan and Laura. Meanwhile, Logan has stopped at a safe zone, and while Laura's outside playing, he and Charles watch a video on Gabriela's phone. Gabriela, who happens to be a former nurse for a biotech corporation, Alkali Transigen, informs them about how the corporation created Laura and many other mutant children from mutant DNA to be used as weapons. The children then turned out to be difficult to control and were to be be executed by the corporation. But Gabriella, with help from other nurses, helped save some of the children. Charles then reveals that Laura was created with Logan's DNA, making her his daughter. They also discover from Gabriella's video that all the kids are to be taken to a place called Eden, and so she wishes for Laura to also be taken there. That night, Logan drives them to a casino hotel in Oklahoma, where they'll hide out until he can get them a new ride, and of course new clothes. Meanwhile, Caliban gives Donald the previous address where Logan, Laura, and Charles were.
You know you gotta pay for that, right?
Logan, on the other hand, manages to get them a new ride, during which he realizes that Donald's men are already at the hotel. But thanks to Charles's telepathic seizure that affects everyone except Logan and Laura, Logan is able to take out the men before administering Charles's meds and escaping with Laura and Charles. As they drive off, the newscaster reports how 400 guests were stricken with temporary paralysis the day before. She then relates it to a similar incident that happened the year before, which left over 600 people injured and took the lives of the X-Men. Logan then turns it off to avoid upsetting Charles. He then reminds Charles to take his meds so as to avoid incidents like that, but Charles claims he did it to save Laura, while Logan claims he only freaked out and had a seizure. Meanwhile, Dr. Xander Rice, the head of Transigen, comes to help Donald. On the other hand, Logan, Laura, and Charles are forced to help farmer Will Munson and his family after they encounter a traffic accident with their horses.
Thanks so much for your help.
His wife then offers them dinner as a means to say thank you. Logan declines, but Charles insists. That night, while Logan goes with Will to help chase off some enforcers from a corporate farm, Dr. Rice releases X-24, a soulless clone of Logan in his prime that was created as Transigen's ultimate weapon. X-24 impales Charles and captures Laura, and then Will's son comes to help out. He gets killed. Will's wife grabs a gun to save Laura, but is also killed by X-24. Logan goes to get Charles, who's barely holding on to life, but is forced to fight back when he realizes that Charles is no more. Unfortunately, X-24 is much stronger than Logan, making it difficult for Logan to take him down. Thankfully, Will rams into X-24 and pins him with his truck in his final moments. He steps out to shoot Logan with resentment for ending his family in one night, but falls to the ground, dead almost immediately. Caliban sets off a grenade that kills him and several of the Transigen officers, but only injures Donald. Logan then takes the opportunity to escape with Laura and Charles's body. As the morning comes, X-24 is retrieved from where he's pinned with Will's truck. Dr. Rice then injects him with a serum that hastens his healing process and makes him even stronger. Meanwhile, Logan drives Laura and himself down to where he buries Charles's body. He goes to start the car, which fails to start. In a fit of rage and frustration, Logan takes a shovel and batters the car. Laura watches as he pours out his anger on the poor vehicle and passes out almost immediately after. She also spots a man and his dog exit a car nearby. A while later, Logan wakes up in a small clinic after being tended to by a doctor, who insists that Logan goes for some tests as he believes something inside Logan is poisoning him. But Logan tells him he's okay and forcefully leaves the hospital with Laura. Outside, he thanks Laura for bringing him, although he's perplexed as to how he had brought him all the way there. She replies, "You're welcome," in Spanish, and that's when Logan realizes that she could talk all this while, and she chooses to remain quiet. She sparks at him in Spanish, and they both get into an argument. Laura then starts to recite the names of the other kids before taking out the rest of the $30,000 and showing it to Logan, saying they have to get to North Dakota. Logan then informs her that Eden doesn't exist, and that Laura and Gabriella have read way too many stories, but Laura is persistent and wants him to prove it by taking her there, and Logan eventually gives in and agrees to take her there. Meanwhile, at a new facility where the rest of the mutants are kept, Dr. Rice orders that tissue from Caliban be saved as he's a tracker and has a high IQ. We then see Donald, who's just about done fixing his robotic hand.
Here you go.
Somehow, he was able to obtain Laura's photo, which has her destination written on the back. Logan is way too tired and beat up to be driving, but he has no choice but to get Laura to her so-called Eden. He dozes off twice, so Laura offers to drive. Logan refuses, and Laura tells him that he's dying. I mean, we can all see that, but Laura rephrases her sentence, saying that Logan wants to die. But she also reveals that Charles had told her not to let him die. Logan dozes off again, so Laura tells him to rest. The rest lasts until nightfall, and seeing as they don't have time to waste anymore, Laura takes the wheel. Laura drives them to a mountainous region, where Logan finds himself waking up. He sees Laura way up and yelling something in Spanish, but passes out again. Later, he wakes up to find himself being pulled up via a lever, and yes, he passes out again. Finally, he wakes up again in a room where he's being tended to by the other mutant kids. He asks for Laura and Bobby to tell him she's asleep. Bobby asks if he should wake her up, but Logan tells him no and goes back to rest. That night, Logan wakes up from a nightmare to see Laura staring at him. She admits to also having nightmares because people hurt her, but Logan tells her that his is different.
I hurt people.
Laura then approaches him and shows him an adamantium bullet that Logan has kept since he escaped from Weapon X facility, which he plans to use in committing suicide. He also tells her that it's what they put in all mutants, which is why it can kill them, and as Dr. Charles said, he wants to use it to shoot himself. 2 days later, Logan wakes up to find out that the kids have shaved his beard hair to make him look like the Wolverine they know. Logan yells at them and rushes after Richter to ask him why they're still there. Richter then informs him that everyone was given until today to get to Eden, so they can all cross into Canada together. Logan then warns him that if they waste any more time, Transigen is soon to get them, but Richter tells him that they'll leave tomorrow by dawn. Much later, Richter offers Logan the rest of his payment, but Logan rejects it, saying they need it more. He then leaves. That night, Laura goes to find Logan, and when he tries to talk to her, she expresses her anger that Logan has nowhere to go. Logan suggests he'd go to a bar, but Laura is only displeased with the idea. Logan then reminds her that he lost Charles and Caliban thanks to her. He makes it clear to her that he's not going with them, and Laura walks out on him angrily. The following day, Logan wakes up to a bottle of serum and a note that says, "Don't take it all at once," from Richter. He goes out to check and realizes that the kids have all left, but there's one problem. Logan spots the Transigen drones and officers heading toward the direction the kids are supposed to be in. He then grabs his clothes and the serum and heads in the direction of the kids. Meanwhile, the kids have already started running away from the soldiers, who ambush them. Richter can be heard telling the kids to run to the mountains. Logan, however, is way too weak to even chase after the kids, so he ignores Richter's warning and takes an overdose of the serum that helps to temporarily enhance his healing abilities and boost his strength. The kids are taken down one by one despite trying to fight back, until Logan finally comes to the rescue. Meanwhile, Richter keeps yelling at the kids to run until he's caught by Donald after obtaining a flesh wound. Meanwhile, Laura is surrounded by the soldiers when Logan comes to her rescue. Laura gets overwhelmed and joins Logan in taking out a good number of the soldiers. After taking them all down, Laura realizes that Logan has taken the entire serum, and the serum is starting to wear off. The duo spots the other kids already rounded by the soldiers. Logan asks Laura to join them and tells her to wait till he gives her a signal. With Richter at gunpoint, Logan approaches the soldiers while Laura seizes the opportunity. Dr. Rice comes out to confront Logan. It is revealed that Logan was the one who killed Rice's father years ago at the Weapon X facility. Rice exposes to Logan that no new mutants have been born in the past years due to genetically modified crops that were created by Transigen and distributed via the world's food supply. During the whole talk, Logan manages to get his hands on a gun, which he uses to shoot Rice dead and injures Donald, who quickly retreats. Laura picks up the signal and immediately attacks, giving the rest of the children the motivation to fight back. Logan chases after Donald, who frees X-24 to slow Logan down. Laura sees how hurt Logan is and charges at X-24 in a fit of rage. Donald then shoots Logan in the leg with a crossbow and attempts to escape when the kids combine their powers to take him down. Meanwhile, Laura deals great damage to X-24 but gets tossed away. Richter then uses his powers to flip a truck onto X-24. With everyone defeated, Logan urges the kids to leave, but just then, X-24 escapes and impales Logan on a large tree branch. However, Laura finds Logan's gun and loads it with his adamantium bullet and fires a shot at X-24's head. Laura then runs to him and cuts him free, but at this point, nothing can be done to save Logan anymore. In his final moments, Logan tells Laura to take her friends and leave and to never become the weapon that Transigen made her to be. He calls out to her as she cries, saying she won't leave him, and just after Laura finally acknowledges him as her father, Logan passes on peacefully in the little girl's arms. With help from her friends, Laura buries Logan. She then gives a funeral sermon. Afterward, Richter tells them that they have to leave, but before Laura joins them, she flips the cross on Logan's grave to form an X, honoring him as the last of the X-Men. And this is the end. This was a recap of the 2017 movie Logan by Mark Miller and Steve McNiven, starring Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Richard E. Grant, Boyd Holbrook, Stephen Merchant, and Daphne Keene. So what do you think of Logan's last-minute sacrifice to get the kids to a safe haven? And what would have been of him or Laura if he had chosen not to get involved in the first place? Let us know in the comments below with #CinemaRecap. Until next time.